Hello, Knights fans, and welcome back to another edition of the Knights Baseball Roundup. And as always, we're joined by the head coach of the baseball program, Gary Puccio. Coach, how are you doing today?
All right, Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing well. We've got a beautiful day here in North Jersey. But first things first, you guys are coming off a split at Mount St. Mary's this past weekend where the Mountain took the first two and you came roaring back, to say the least, to take the next two. Mount St. Mary's won the first game 7-1. Second game 17-0, but then your team bounced back to win the next two 10-4, and then came back in the series finale and won in 10 innings 10-7. And talk about your team's performance.
Yeah, obviously at the end of the second game, I think we had been outscored a rate 25-1 in the first two games. So it kind of looked like we were heading to oblivion there, and somehow they rallied in the third game and found a way to win. Brendan Butler pitched a real good game for us. I think we won 7-4, I think you said, something like that. And then the fourth game, we were down 5-0 after two, battled back. I think we scored 1 in the sixth, 2 in the seventh, and 3 in the eighth to take the lead, and then gave the lead back in the bottom of the eighth, tie game 6-6. Got out of a bases loaded, 1-out situation in the bottom of the ninth, where line drive to Kyle, and Weeks turned a double play on us, which got us into the 10th, and we scored at the top of the 10th 4 times, which was more than enough to hold on and get a split out of the series, which was, I thought, important. I thought it said a lot that the kids didn't let that 17-0 game destroy them, which could have easily happened. And we've been playing 500 ball the second half of the year. It's just that we got too far behind the first half.
Now, in the game you came back to win in Game 4, sophomore Jordan Ritz, your starting left fielder, went 4 for 5 with 4 extra base hits, 3 doubles, and it seemed like actually probably the last 15-20 games he's actually picked it up. I believe he's your leading hitter over that stretch. Talk about him, the game he had, and if it's any coincidence that when he started hitting, the team started playing well.
Yeah, I think Jordan Ritz is a catalyst for our club. I always have felt that way, and I think he had 3 doubles and a triple in that game. And Ritzy had a tough start. He was like 0 for his first 16. He was hitting under 200 for the first 10, 12 games of the season. And I remember grabbing him and just saying to him, listen, you had 50-something hits last year as a freshman, more than any other freshman in the history of the school. I said, I seriously doubt that you're going to go from 50-something hits to that you're going to get 10 hits this year and hit 190 all season long. I said, sooner or later, the same way you've been through this tough streak, I said, there's going to be a hot streak that's going to come up. And I guess he's hit it for the last 10 games or so, and he's been, I know his average keeps climbing. The thing I told him the other day, because Jordan's one of those kids that really doesn't pay attention to his statistics, really doesn't care about that, cares about winning, which is great. But one of the things I told him the other day was, I think he hit 35 hits now for the season, and I was like, he hit 50 last year, you still got 12 games to go, you might hit 50 again before we're done. And I said, who would have said that 10 games into the season? I said, that's why you got to keep playing and keep playing hard.
Now, in the 2 wins in that series as well, pitching was big for you. Brendan Butler, for the second Saturday in a row, got a victory on the mound. It seems like he's kind of turned the corner. What have you seen from him differently lately than earlier in the year?
Well, he's cutting down his walks. That's one of the biggest things that was hurting him. He's cutting down, hitting bottom of the order guys, things like that. And he's just pitching smarter more than anything else. And I think that's helped him a lot. He's got more control. And it's about confidence, too. As he wins a little more, he gets more and more confident. I mean, he was still talking about a guy who's a sophomore and has all of about 15 career starts at Division I, and he's only going to keep getting better. I mean, we think Brendan's going to anchor the staff as the next 2 years go on. So.
And Logan Frady pitched Game 4. It was his first start in Northeast Conference play. Went 7 2/3, had 1 bad inning where he allowed 5 runs, but only 3 were earned. Talk about his performance in his first conference start, and are you surprised, to say the least, that he's just kept the ball rolling?
Well, I felt Logan and Nick Cuno and Ryan McGrath were 3 terrific additions pitching-wise to our staff that we brought in this year. Ryan, unfortunately, hasn't really had a chance to pitch much because of the injuries, and he's had to be our starting right fielder, which was not obviously in the plans at the start of the year. We expect him to get a few at-bats and spend most of his time coming out of bullpen, but he got an opportunity to hit, and he's done a pretty decent job doing that. The other 2 guys, I kind of, from the day we brought them in, I felt they were both quality pitchers and were both going to be able to help us in the conference at some point. Nick started in the conference right from the go, and Logan started the non-league games, and as time went on, he showed development. We felt he deserved to start in the conference, which is what he did last Sunday. And that 5-run inning, in fairness, like you said, it was only 3 earned runs. Part of that wasn't his fault, that we just didn't play good defense behind him. And what I like about Logan and Nick also is when they have a bad inning, they seem to settle down after that. You don't see a bad inning followed by another bad inning. You see a bad inning, and then you see 4 or 5 zeros in a row being put up. And I kind of blew the win for Logan in that game because we got to the bottom of the 8th, and it was man on first. This is what's great about baseball, I guess. It was man on first, 2 out. And we got a kid at the plate who's stat-wise has been up almost 100 times for the season with no extra base hits. I got Snyder, who's, in my opinion, the best closer in baseball in the NEC, sitting in the bullpen, and he's ready to go. And I'm like, well, I'm going to wait one more batter because I figured I'd rather let Snyder start the 9th on his own with nobody on base. And I'm like, the kid's only a singles hitter, so if he hits a single, I can still bring Snyder in. And, of course, the kid doubles into the left center field gap, tie game. And now I got a runner on third base, and I got to bring Snyder in to get us out of it. And it's like, why don't you bring him in a batter sooner and Logan be getting a win and Eric be getting a save? But, being Snyder, the kid he is, he just stayed out on the mound and got the win, which was great. But, Eric's one save shy of becoming the all-time save leader, so I kind of cost him an opportunity there big time, and I cost Logan a win. But, the kids, one thing I got to say is they're not into the stats as much as they're into the winning and losing, and I think that says a lot about the kind of kids they are as a team.
We talk about the winning and losing. In the last 15 games, you're 8-7. You've been playing your best baseball of the year. You're competitive. Now you have 11 games to go. 4 this weekend at Sacred Heart, and then you have a non-conference series at Delaware State where you play 3. Then you conclude the season with 4 at home against Quinnipiac. So, what are some of your goals here in the final 11 games?
When we were 3-21 and playing horrible, I kind of tried to set little goals, like, let's try to win 2 games this week, and we did. And then it was like, let's try. We had that 10-game homestand. I said, let's try to be 500 on a homestand, and we were 5-5, and I think the last 10 games actually overall were 6-4, which is tied for the best record in the conference over the last 10 games. But like I said, we got way too far behind at the beginning. So what you try to do when you see you're in that situation is put up these little goals to try to get things back on track. And I basically said to them, let's try to play as close to 500 balls as possible the rest of the season. I said, we can finish the second half going, 13-14 or 14-13 or 13-12, whatever it is, somewhere around that. I said, that's a great improvement over starting 3-21. So, maybe it says that we should never start 3-21, which I kind of believe also. But it took a while to get over the injuries. It took a while to figure out who should play where because of the injuries. And all that's been a factor. So, but yeah, my goal the rest of the way is basically let's try to keep playing 500. One of the interesting things about this team, which is kind of strange, and just shows that they have progressed, is the first 2 series we had Bryan and Central Connecticut, we won no games. The next 2 series we had Wagner and LIU, we won 1 game in each of those series. And the last 2 series against Monmouth, who's the second place team in the league, and Mount St. Mary's, we've won 2 games. So we've increased our win total every weekend. So hopefully we can do that again with these last 2 series and win at least 2 on the road, which my line all the time is split on the road and win at home. I think where we did a bad job this year was winning at home. Not that we've split on the road, but at least we've been okay compared to what we've been at home. And I think we're 3-9 at home this year, which is just can't be happening. It's something that has to go back to what we did last year when we made the playoffs. I think we were 11-5 at home in the conference, and I think overall we had won 15 games at home. So, we got to make home park what it's supposed to be, and that was one of the things we just didn't do a real good job of this year.
Right. And so, as we said before, you are playing Sacred Heart this weekend up at a minor league baseball stadium at the Harbor Yards in Bridgeport, Connecticut. They're the 2-time defending conference champs. Although you've been competitive with them, and even last year you took 3 out of 4 against them at home and came a game away from facing them in the Northeast Conference Championship. But you can just talk about what you expect to see this weekend from the Pioneers.
Yeah, what a difference a year makes, huh? We were beating them 3 out of 4 last year, and we're 1 hit away from facing them in the championship round last year. Huh? Times change, huh? they're a good club. I mean, they were always a good club. They were always right there. They got great pitching. They play solid defense. John Murphy's one of the best players in this conference, hands down, if not the best player in the conference. Big fan of his. Think he's an outstanding player. So yeah, this is an uphill battle again. They're battling for first place in the conference. I think they're third right now, but only like 2 games out of first. So it's definitely going to be an uphill battle going to play in their park. They had solid starting pitching. So we got to work it out for us. But, again, the idea is to go on the road and split, and hopefully we can do that.
Before we conclude the show, we want to ask how was the visit with the former host of the show down at Mount St. Mary's?
Yeah, we got to meet up with the former host of the show, with Gavin Neville, and he seems real happy down Mount. Tells me they treat him real well down there. He's real happy, and it was good to run into him. And he was critiquing our job now, as how we do handle the show together now, and it's, apparently we're not as good as he was.
Of course, he is a superstar.
There you go.
Well, Knights fans, we appreciate the time that you took to watch today, and Coach, good luck this weekend at Sacred Heart, and hopefully we can keep the progression going.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
All right, until next time, we'll see you again on another edition of the Knights Baseball Roundup.